experience, sometimes other women are more oppressive than men, or can be as equally as oppressive as the male-bodied individuals.
When we do this, we are acting like a patriarchal woman in order to reproduce to impose this judgment to other women. I I used this very old stereotype from the women who took the husband from another woman. This is a very, very old patriarchal way of uh, condemning the women as if they were the eternal Eve. I believe there's so many kinds of stereotypes like age, like behavior, like body. Is she thick or not? How she presents herself. Um, how how can I do this, or how I am doing this in my psychological office? I don't use these stereotypes. I use the dialogue with the patient. And very often, when they have, for example, a problem in the work, and I don't know where they work, but they talk about colleagues, male and female. And when they started to really, really talk very badly about women and not so badly about men, I don't I don't judge them, but I ask them to think about if this judgment is correct or if she uses words, different words, to talk about the problem with men and women. For example, I have noticed that when it comes to women and there's a problem in the work, they don't like each other, they use sexual words. She is a whore. She's, I don't know, I really don't remember. But I noticed that they use sexual terms in order to put down women. And she used other kind of expression in order to talk badly about the male colleagues. They talk about the character and he was not correct. This is very is soft. He was not correct to me. She is a whore. So I try to learn about many levels of judgment in order to, in first of all, in order to recognize this in myself, because I reproduce this world in which I live. And then I try to adapt, for example, my vocabulary. I don't speak badly about women using bad words like she's a whore. I use the same words. She was not correct to me, for example. I don't know if I am answering your question, but this kind of rec recognizing this patriarchal judge in us who makes us think we can uh, we can judge women because of her behavior. Uh, I always try to first to observe the vocabulary and how we talk about. Have you seen how she dresses herself? I don't use this term in order to I don't make this comparison about with a man. I never say, have you seen how he uses, I don't know what kind of dress, no, not a dress, but so I am always thinking about if this person was a man, how could I express myself? If this person is a woman, what kind of behavior I can allow myself in order to talk about her. For example, uh, I have many patients, female patients, who have lived faces, eyes, etc., bosom, I don't know. And they are always talking about if I don't do this, my husband will look after other women. So this kind of values, I am always trying to ask questions about it. Why is your appearance? You are an appearance to your man. No, of course not. So please, I don't understand you. So to me, the most important thing is to compare if this person to whom I am talking, if he was a woman, if she was a man, what kind of changements in my vocabulary I would like to use, uh, and always questioning the very big problem of the appearance. I don't impose this kind of way of thinking to all my patients. Of course not. I adapt my methods to their needs. But if they want to go deeper inside this kind of social form, etc., so I try to use many tools, like linguistic tools, how we talk, to whom we talk, etc. The problem of the body. If, for example, I respect a person who is not presenting herself, himself, like they are supposed to do, to present. So it's a very subtle way of observing. Observing, oh, it's a very nice exercise is looking at a TV series because they reproduce stereotypes. All women in Hollywood films or series, they always have an orgasm. But since I am a psychologist, I always read and hear about women who, after 30 years of marriage, never had an orgasm. In the film, all these things reproduce a stereotype, a kind of sorry, but there's a model, it's a very rigid one, and life is not like this. Please, Lee, am I answering your question or giving you tools to that you could or can answer to yourself?
Yeah, can I respond with something short?
Yeah,
Yeah, one thing that comes up to me is the way that when you ask people to compare how they're treating men versus women to see if there's a bias.
yeah,
What I heard from you is that with your patients, usually the women will judge men in a way that's about their behavior, but they judge other women as like if they're a whore, like they're embodying that bad behavior. So they're bad. It's not the behavior that's bad. And
yeah,
so the difference to me, one is is associated with guilt, which is
Hmm.
like I did something wrong, and the other is shame, where I am wrong. And shame, there's so much research on shame that shows that it's like causing all of these terrible negative mental disorders. And so I can see like it's a big difference, this minor different, very small, minute difference in the way that we treat people and how the impact can be so much greater on women for having to embody not being enough.
Yes,
Yes,
perfect.
I'm sorry because this is becoming a conversation. It's wonderful.
Ah,
So
okay.
much to talk about that we should really have. I see Daniela. I mean, we should do a circle. I mean, this is opening up, a Niagara Fall of questions and a lot of things. But this is not what we are trying to do here. So I would like
Okay.
I finally have my session. So you open up and you talk to each other. So you have three sessions. You have Daniela and Polly, Leanne and Maria and Deborah and Lena that are going to go, and you have your questions. And I'll see you in 20 minutes. Ciao, ciao. So 5 minutes before I will let you. Oh, Carla walked in. So now, Carla, we're going to put Carla somewhere. Deborah, you have to. Okay, I'm gonna put Carla and Carmen in another session. Or maybe you can go. Okay, Carmen is gonna go into session 2. Okay, Carmen, you can go in session 2, so it's gonna be 3 people. I don't know if you will be able to answer, but you can listen to each other and the questions. So you have to accept to participate to one of the rooms. Okay, sorry. Fine, they're gone. We have no, because we're getting late, and it's all these conversation they end up with everybody raises their hands. You say one thing, and it becomes like this is like a wicked problem. We're talking about
Mm.
wicked problems. So it was nice because I think I got mixed up with the rooms, and I think it was nice that you explained, but in general, it doesn't become, you see what I mean? It
Yeah,
doesn't
of
become
course, of course.
as
I,
much.
I just replied because I thought you were busy about
No,
the
no, but that
rooms.
was so good. You see, I believe in these are the kind of synchronicities that happen. And you have this event that was not out of the program, but then I have then you have to stop. Otherwise, it can go on for 3 hours. And I want them to just be in the room and answer some of the questions. I mean, it's really an introspective space. So we have basically until 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Um,
and and what do you think about my presentation?
it was not very nice, very, very, very important. I mean, there are 2 or 3 important concepts that give women tools to think about. By using mythology, you use 3 figures, you bring these 3 figures into the modern reality, telling them, hey, don't think that this is like a fairy tale, this is today, and with examples, and also bringing them the awareness that they are, because we are all patriarchal women, and we have to decolonize ourselves, and the journey is we have to do the work. It's a fucking difficult word. You talk about yourself, you talk how you decolonize yourself. So you're giving the example that there is a lot of work to be done in each of us, and also by bringing some examples of therapeutic work, bringing some proofs, like for example, the example of the film and orgasm, and then you go into sessions with the therapist and everybody's frigid. I mean, I didn't want to say everybody has been raped, it's frigid and doesn't have an orgasm, and the world is yeah, and what's going on here. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And my pronunciation, it was okay, comprehensible.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean,
Because I am learning English, I am trying to get out of German, French, etc. But it's an amazing exercise.
it was very good. And actually, we are recording and I have to stop it. So we're back to the recording. So that when they come back, now they're going to close and they will all come back and we will share. Yes, here's Polly.
Is being recorded.
Ciao, Polly.
Ciao.
It seems that you're the only one that came back. Nobody wants to come back. They're all very happily talking. I think we're all back. I see Carmen and Carla had arrived in your group. And
Yes.
Carmen, yes,
And Daniela has to leave.
excuse me?
Daniela had to leave. Phone was cutting off.
Okay, so she was in your group.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, now it's time for sharing. So I hope that you have some notes or something to just share. So there's anybody that wants to start. We had group 1, 2, and 3. And we had 2 groups in which there were 3 people. So you didn't have very much time, but I hope that you could sort of share and talk to each other. Does anybody wants to start? Polly, you're unmuted, but
I will be brave. I will start.
okay,
Thank you
thank you.
So I'm Deborah. Thank you for the process. And I was happily with Lena. And I'm from Colorado in the United States, and Lena is from Spain. And we got through about, I think, 2 to 3 questions. So I can share a little for one question, and maybe Lena, you can fill in if that's comfortable for you, Sabina. But the first question, I'm sorry, I guess I could look in the chat. But what I was saying to Lena was that I recognize how a patriarchal system of centuries has bound up my feelings, this corset kind of energy that Adriana uh, said so beautifully, that when I'm with others, I hold back to please, to approval seek, to um, make sure they're okay. And for myself, I am more wild, but I recognize in myself that the woman I'm choosing is the wild woman. That's who I want to embody. I'm a dancer, and I used to have people really dance their wildness, and then I became reserved. I would have some trauma in my life with my son, and I shut that off from me. And so I am embracing more that woman authentically, not necessarily caring how I'm judged or how people look at me. So, Lena, maybe you have something you'd like to say.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful to be with you in the breakout session. And yeah, I kind of resonated what also Deborah shared, that yeah, I know myself like a lot, like wanting to please other people and yeah, being kind of the good girl. And yeah, I also recognize this inner judge inside of myself that you've shared, Adriana, a lot. Yeah, and it was also a very interesting process that we were going through. And yeah, at some point I was like also observing in this little conversation this judge that came up and was like, "Oh, what if you don't find a good answer now?" And yeah, yeah, and I was somehow touched by that because I could also share my vulnerability with Deborah. And then yeah, we shared that. Yeah, I think that's what is needed. Yeah, more spaces of authenticity and yeah, listening to each other from the heart and speaking to each other from the heart and also allowing vulnerability. So yeah, it was very nice for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And the questions, you can bring them with you and continue to sort of work on them, because that's the whole point. So what about the others group? I don't know, anybody wants to share what was said in your group?
I can share some of the things that came up with our discussion. What that really resonated for me. What I felt was really key from what I learned from the conversation in the small group was that like focusing on the resources that we need to create and protect as we work through these systems of oppression inside of us as well as in our communities. And this idea of feeling shame when we step out of alignment with what the group expects us to be as a woman can be really heavy. That vulnerability that Deborah and Lena talked about is often at a cost, particularly if the system is extremely patriarchal, because vulnerability is seen as weakness in the patriarchy. And we also put ourselves in a position to be ostracized or excluded if we're trying to stand up against these oppressive, acts against us expressing ourselves and, being not a part of something else, but our own entity with our own choices and our own freedom to choose how we behave. And so that idea of resources is really important for me. How do I protect my resources as an individual, which is my energy, my time, my mental capacity, my mental well-being, right? Because if I speak up and I'm out of line and I'm ostracized, that will oftentimes result in me feeling extremely like shameful. Even though I know I'm happy I did it, et cetera, there's still the subconscious, unconscious part of that internal system that I haven't broken down that causes me, it's an exhausting experience. And those are my resources, right? That energy could be used to fight the patriarchy is going to be depleted. So just like the idea of resources is for me like, wow, I really have to think about this more. Like, what are my resources? How do I protect my resources? How do I resource myself so that I can be, so it is sustainable and it's not going to like result in me having some disabling disease or, someone just killing me because I've opened my mouth one too many times.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. Really. Does anybody wants to integrate what Leanne just said? Yes, Carmen. Carmen, we cannot hear you. Sorry, you have to unmute yourself.
No. Yes. I can understand very good this what she said. Just a few days ago, I had this kind of experience. I said two things about my really inside, from inside and it was so crazy stuff. But I have made I see, and this is also what I said in the group. I'm seeing now, because of all these experiences, and this time what we are now and where we are moving on, this resources what we have inside, is very important. So I say the learning field is, if a situation comes out like this, that somebody other reacts in a form to stay cool and just to accept that this is now seen, to go out of this role what we learned as women or girls, always to do something to keep this in peace and everything nice and no aggression, because in the reality it doesn't depend from us. I think so. Because if these situations happen always, it's because of this system, because of this program, because of this patriarchal things, what have this inside. So if we go outside and we say something, for example, in a situation, and then somebody other is flipping, okay, to learn to don't get touched by this inside. It's not it's there. Then this shameful and all these feelings and all these things, after some time, don't come. To learn to accept, to learn to see it, and not to do something. I don't know if I can say it good to understand.
Yes, thank you for your sharing. Thank you so much. There's so many pieces in this conversation so that we can hear. So it's really about, asking you to put all these pieces, and there's more and more. Polly, I hear that you're leaving. Do you want to share before you leave anything of what you experienced? And then it's really late for everyone, but it was so important also to hear what you have been sharing in your room. And thank you so much for all your sharing. Polly, if you want to.
Not to share. I mean, many things were said. I was with Carla and Daniela. Maybe what stood out from our conversation was again this. I think the Mary role came out many times through our jobs and also our daily life, and putting other people's needs at the center, and the topic of how to use our resources and our energy.
Yeah.
Really, well, I mean, I'm feeling it right now at the moment. I'm really tired. I've had a really long day, and it's because I think somewhere there's a capacity I have to develop of knowing when to say yes and when to say no, and not over take on too much, which I feel can happen. And at the same time, really welcoming this Lilith, which for me is a lot to do with the creative energy. So it's a space that kind of creates. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm frying in Italy at the moment. But thank you very much for the space and for the presentation. And I take the questions with me because I feel like I haven't really had the time or the energy to be able to deepen them as much as I would like. So looking forward to future conversations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Polly. And I would say I would close with Polly. Thank you so much. I mean, just Adriana, if you just want to say a few more words of farewell, goodbye, or arrivederci, au revoir. I will hope we will have other conversations with you. You're such a wonderful woman with a lot of interesting subjects, you know, or that we can really work on. You on mute?
Thank you for your patience, for your presence, and maybe you can see each other next time. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sabina, for the invitation.
Thank you. We'll put this into our matriarchy.net, matriculture.net, and you can relook at our recording. There's like all this kind of things. There's the questions and us talking, the two of us talking. Well, I forgot to put, you know, off the recording. So it's going to be a very creative recording, like usual, like women do. And please look at our website, dancinggoddess.net.com.org and matriculture.net, where we offer courses. And thank you for being with us. So just one word, and I will start, and I would just jump of gratitude. I am very grateful, and I am so happy of, you know, of changing the world. Matriarchy now is my word. And I pass it to Deborah. You're muted.
Connection, compassion for all of us and myself.
And to whom do you pass it?
Oh, I pass it to Lena.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for opening the space, Adriana for sharing your knowledge with us, and all the others for being here. I feel touched. I pass it to Polly.
Thank you. My words are take off the corset. And I pass it to Carmen.
Patriarchy now. Woohoo! Yeah. Woo, 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 woo. So I pass it to let's dance. Yeah. So, warte mal. I pass it to Les N. King.
Thank you. I think that's me.
Hello.
Hi, Carmen. Just to one word. Yeah, I want to just freedom, but freedom with care for myself and others. Oh, Maria, would you like to share?
I'm just grateful. Thank you so much all for sharing this space, and Adriana and Sabina for holding us here. So thank you so much.
Your last word is?
Thank you. That's word.
Adriana, what is your last word, my dear? Thank you, first of all, for being here.
Lilith.
Yes, yes, Lilith. Thank you all, and I hope to see you soon. Ciao, ciao. Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.